Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Got Doug Williamson here on the program. He's a regular contributor on The Price of Business. We like to talk about what's happening on the political front and the economic front, and he's the author of a great book called Thoughts of an American Taxpayer. By the way, if you put in, Thoughts of an American, actually, if you go to USDailyReview.com and you put in Doug Williamson, he shows up prominently. You can check out one of our previous interviews. Plus, you'll hear a great audio of that interview and links to his awesome book, which I encourage everyone to check out. It's written with the wisdom and discernment of an accountant and with the passion of a person who frankly feels like he's been abused by his government. And that's why I think it makes such an outstanding book. Doug, glad to have you on the program.
Thank you, Kevin. Well said there, young man.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate the young man part. Hey, talk a little bit about, first of all, there's a lot we could talk about. Let's talk a little bit about the first big debate that's this week on Fox News. What's your thoughts going into that debate?
Well, I think what they're going to nail it down to, like the people that at least have 1%, so there's not going to be 300 people there, in the debate and everything. And I think it ought to be interesting, but, we've talked before about that Article 5 where I'm really, everybody can talk about the election in 2016, but I think something's got to be done before then. I think it's all up to the governors of each state, and everything. So,
and you're talking about what Mark Levin talks about in terms of getting governors, particularly to look at the way government spends.
Exactly, and just have a convention of the states, and of course Mr. Levin can go into a lot more than I can and articulate it a lot better than I can. But it's just something that's going to have to be done. I think with $18 trillion in debt and these guys up there just every day partying down like it's their, it's a big cesspool up there where, okay, let's give ourselves a raise this week. Let's go here. Let's go there. Let's make a deal with these people over here that are enemies. Let's trade a scumbag for 5 terrorists, and stuff like that going on. I mean, it's just out of control up there in D.C.
Yeah. Well, how many states have voted in favor of it?
Well, from what I understand, I think it takes I want to say 67 to 70%, so it'd be like 34 to 36 governors.
Uh-huh.
And as far as I know, I haven't researched as well as I should, but I think they had a deal a while back, or maybe last year, where a lot of them got together in the state. So I don't know how close it is, but I think it is in progress. I hope it is, because that's the biggest solution, I think, to our federal government. I mean, what does our federal government do for us anymore besides put tyranny on us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty out of control. I'll tell you what my concern about it. I for one, support it too. And I have always been opposed to it historically because of the fact that, they did something like this back in the 1780s where we went from an Articles of Confederation to the Constitution, and everything that the proponents of the Articles and the opponents of the Constitution warned have come true. I hate to say it, but in retrospect, if we did the Constitution like it was originally written, everything would be fine. The opponents of the Constitution, those who supported the Articles of Confederation, said they won't adhere to it. And they stated why they wouldn't adhere to it, and they were exactly right. And we had, we got the tyranny today because we didn't listen to those who warned. In retrospect, modifying the Articles of Confederation would have been better than this Constitution we ended up getting. I know that sounds terrible because I love our Constitution,
right? But
I hate what they've done to it.
Exactly, and then our founding fathers didn't. They didn't plan on the professional politician. I mean, all of them used to go home and go back to their fields or go back to being an attorney or whatever they were back in those days. I mean, they didn't even go in there for wages or anything. They did it for service to the country.
Yeah,
so, I mean, it's amazing. And when we say service to them,
when we say our founding fathers, it depends on which one. Alexander Hamilton was the quintessential political whore. Excuse my expression. But Alexander Hamilton loved the idea of living off the largesse of government,
right.
Loved the idea of huge, out-of-control government. That should have automatically been a warning about why was he writing one of the 3 writers of the Federalist Papers. What did he see? He saw exactly what the opponents of it saw, and he liked it, unlike the opponents of it. So I worry that they'll figure out in a convention, which, by the way, according to Newsmax, 34 states have called for a constitutional convention. And, my concern is that they get together and they end up just doing a complete rewrite. because they have the ability to do that.
Right. And
Your
let's hope
thoughts?
that doesn't happen. Let's hope we still have a few patriots out there still left that still love this country, So, I mean, you think about it, the federal government really all it's become is a redistribution of wealth.
Yeah.
I mean, some people now are paying, as a CPA, I can tell you, some people are paying over 50 to 60% of their income to either state or federal government. And then that's not even counting, like, the taxes you have on toll roads and at the gas pump and sales tax and property taxes. I mean, it's just tax. That's all this country's becoming.
Yeah, there's no question about it. No question about it. And so I and if we continue to do what we're doing, we're how could it, I don't know how it could be much worse than what we're already doing. That's why I have a certain amount of optimism about it. And what we're doing now shows a government that completely lacks integrity, totally absent, void of integrity.
And
so
they want to send $150 billion to Iran.
Yeah,
and I mean, we don't have any money. We're $18 trillion in debt. I mean, we don't have any money to send anybody.
Right, and here we are funding the biggest sponsor of state-sponsored terrorism worldwide. And here we are. It's so naive. They've already broken 20 treaty. They've already had 20 treaty violations. And all this deal does is give them money, and money is the only thing that stands between Iran and nuclear bombs. How does no one else see this?
That in itself tells you what kind of people we have running this country in D.C.
It really does. It really does.
And the way I understand, I think Valerie Jarrett was she grew up in Iran. She was born in Iran, So, I mean, I don't know if that's a big combination of why he's probably doing it, Obama. So, these people, they have nothing in common with the United States of America. They're not they're the enemy. They're not our ally or anything. So,
no, not at all. Not at all. And it's for me, I just find it disturbing. I find it extremely disturbing and disconcerting. And so, I find it disturbing that Kevin Price supports this fifth Article 5 convention as well. But I find it disturbing that I don't have any choice but to support it.
Well, yeah, we do. I mean, whatever our choices are going away because we can't. They asked us, give us the House. We'll repeal Obamacare. Okay, gave them the House. So give us the Senate. We'll gave them the Senate. We'll repeal Obamacare. Nothing's done. Boehner and Mitch McConnell are just over just sucking up to Obama every day. I mean, nobody in that town cares about the American people anymore, the American taxpayers. It's all about them.
Yeah, no question about it. By the way, you had to have seen Ted Cruz take on Mitch McConnell on the Senate floor.
I did. I loved it.
Was that beautiful?
It was beautiful. We need more people like Ted Cruz to stand up like that.
Absolutely. And I'm going to take a quick break. Can I hold you through the break and talk a little bit more?
Sure,
when we come back, I want to talk about the debate format, kind of think who you like going in, talk about some of the names. Okay. All right? So we'll talk about that when we get back. We're talking to Doug Williamson, a guy who I think just has very solid foundation when it comes to understanding liberty. And I love his book, Thoughts of an American Taxpayer. You can check that out at usdatareview.com. More for you after this on The Price of Business.